Hi, welcome back to the Launch Point Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
I'm Beau.
And we are so excited to be back here another week to share with you a letter that a listener has written into us. You can always write in your own letter at launchpointleader.com. This week, our letter says, Dear Launchpoint, I didn't realize when I stepped into leadership how much of it would have nothing to do with strategy or performance goals and everything to do with emotions. Other people's emotions, to be exact. Some days, it feels like I'm more therapist than manager. I'm holding space for someone's burnout, navigating two coworkers' conflicts, helping someone else process a personal crisis that's leaking into their work life. I care about my team, I really do, but sometimes I leave the office completely wrung out, like I spent the entire day pouring from a cup that no one stopped to ask if I had filled. I didn't sign up to be cold or disconnected, but I also didn't sign up to absorb everyone's stress like a sponge. I'm starting to wonder where's the line between being a compassionate leader and becoming everyone's emotional dumping ground. And more than that, who holds space for the leader? Signed, emotionally emptied.
I wrote this letter to you, so I need your
Did you?
I need your advice.
Boy,
Yeah,
all right.
This is for you. So.
I appreciate your transparency and honesty. I think that's a good first step.
Good.
So check for that.
This is so true, isn't it? Like I have for, I guess, 20 some odd years, I have told people I really should have gotten a degree in psychology or sociology and something in the legal realm, because that honestly, I feel like some days I use that much more often than I use business management or marketing or whatever it might be. So the beautiful thing about being a leader and the messy part is that people look to you not just to lead them at work with strategy and with next steps and how to do X, Y, and Z. They look to you to lead them in their life. Right or wrong, leaders display characteristics that attract people to them in more ways than just as a boss and a coworker or a boss and a direct report. When you become a leader, I think you take on the mantle a bit of being somebody who others see as wiser, others see as more stable, others see as somebody that can offer advice and somebody that can carry burdens that they don't have to carry by themselves. Right or wrong, I think that is the job we sign up for as leaders to a degree.
Yeah.
Now, some tactical or practical advice that I feel like I have learned over the 20 some odd years, because I have been in places before where I have been emotionally empty, just like this person is stating. And it is not a fun place to be in, because if you're emotionally emptied as a leader, you can't pour into anybody else. And so that whole last line of who holds the space for the leader, that's one that really hits home for me. So I kind of want to start there and work backwards if I could. Your job is not to fill everyone else's cup. Your job is to make sure that your cup is filled so that as you pour into other people's cup, you have something to pour into them. Okay, so that's different than saying, I'm going to take all of your emotional issues, all of the things that are going on with you personally, and I'm going to carry that, and I'm pouring all I've got into your cup. Well, then you're left as an empty leader, which is not a leader at all. So you've got to make sure, and the hard part for a leader is who holds your space, who holds your cup, who fills your cup up. Truthfully, that's something we have to figure out ourselves, because as the leader, there's nobody that's inherently pouring into us. We have to go seek that out specifically. And we have to get really specific with what fills our cup up so that it honestly, not even pouring out, that our cup is so full that it overflows and it starts to get into the cups and fill the cups of everybody else, not because of a deficit from us, but because of an abundance of our cup overflowing. And that sounds beautiful, I think, because I said it.
It's amazing.
Yeah, right. But the reality is that is actually really hard work that a leader has to do if they're going to sustain themselves as a great leader of people for the team in which, or the community in which, they lead. So I would say start with, how are you filling your cup to overflowing? What does that for you? And the initial response is probably going to be, I don't have the time. I don't have everybody's taking all this stuff from me. And there's a bit of that is true. But at the same time, if you don't start doing some small things to fill your cup up, it's never going to get anywhere close, and you're just going to be drained constantly. So what fills your cup up? Figure that out, commit to doing it. Even if it means getting up earlier, staying up later, if you're doing something that fills your cup up, then that will be a help to you in your normal working or normal life hours that you hold. So, for instance, working out early in the morning, or going on a walk late at night, or reading a book at some point during the day, or whatever it might be, taking a class, meditating, praying, reading scripture, whatever it is for you, you've got to figure out what fills your cup first, so that you can overflow into other people's. That's the first idea.
Yeah.
The second idea from that I'd have is that it's not our job to fill everybody else's cup up. It is our job to overflow and start to pour into their cup, but they have a personal responsibility to fill their cup up as well. And that is not our job to fill everyone's cup up. We cannot do that as leaders. We can pour into, but we cannot fully fill. And I think that's something that as leaders we've got to realize and go, we can't always fix the problem for everybody. We can listen. We can offer advice. We can offer insight. We can offer prayer. We can offer resources sometimes. But then while it's a burden for us, it has to be their burden. We can help them carry it, but we can't take that burden for them and put it on our shoulders. We've got too many on our own, and it's going to inhibit us from what we're doing as a leader. So yeah, I'll stop there because that's a lot. I've got a lot of thoughts on this because I've worked here for a long time. So I don't know where you want to go with that, but just some initial thoughts would be start at the bottom of the letter, right, and work back up. Start with you and work back to your people that are kind of giving you these worthy burdens to carry.
Yeah, I think that's amazing. I highlighted it, like when I was writing down some notes from that, just it's not your job to fill everyone else's cup up it's hard. That's really, really difficult because it almost feels counterintuitive to a high-performing leader, to someone that wants to be, we throw around, you hear the term so much, servant leadership. You want to serve, you want to give back. And it feels counterintuitive to say, oh, it's not my job, or that's not the end of the day. But it's exactly that imagery of what you said. The only sustainable way and the only way you can continue to do that long term is through that sense of overflow. And I love the imagery of not just pouring yourself out into other people, but you've got so much that you're investing in yourself that it's overflowing. It's infectious. It's helping your team. And then I think that second idea you were talking about of it's not your job to take on the emotional weight of your team's issues is something I really struggle with as a leader. I am very invested. We talk about balancing results and relationships. I think my tendency has always been on the relationship side. And when that is, you hear what's going wrong. And for some reason, I always go to like, how is this my fault? Is almost my first question as a leader in a situation, which is a really terrible place to land in a lot of times, but it just causes you to get, just like this person says, they're absorbing everyone else's stress like a sponge. I've had times in my leadership journey where I have just felt all of this stress and pressure and things. And at the end of the day, you look at it and you're like, that person's not even thinking about this issue as much as I now am. You almost take on more of yourself.
That alone is a fantastic point to take away from this. So continue on. But I want to call that out. That's a great insight that you oftentimes are thinking and feeling it even more than they are. Not healthy, but
and it's so funny because I feel like a lot of times it sounds like we've come through this, but when I talk about that, I'm thinking about within this calendar year, within the last 3 months, I've had a situation that I spent nights up about, convinced that everyone was just frustrated and upset in this situation, and then it comes to like it's all on this one day that this event is gonna happen, right? And everyone gets along great and everybody's just having the best time. And it's so clear that the issues that people brought to me had been resolved on their own, that these people are now actually have a stronger relationship, where I thought somehow not only was I in the middle of it, but I made myself much more important in that situation than it needed to be. And literally walking out of the room going, how silly that you just wasted 3-4 months on and off, being stressed about the situation just to realize they're working it out on their own. They do have the capability. So
Yeah.
I would make sure when you say people are coming to you to find the level of engagement that they're looking for you, because sometimes you can take on too much. You're absorbing too much of that, and that's piling on, because there are going to be times where you do need to be the one to help them through that. Like you said, there are times as a leader you've got to help guide people through, especially in those work situations. But check yourself on, sometimes people just actually want to talk for a little bit, and that's the situation. You have to make yourself be removed from that, and that level, not investment, it doesn't sound like the right word, but it is. It's too much ownership.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit selfish to assume that you are the center of every issue that your team brings to you.
Boy, that's so good. That's so good. You're not called as a leader to solve every issue, especially interpersonal, for your people.
Yeah.
You are called to be there to help give them some opportunities for guidance and ways out, or for next steps, and then you move on. Because if you don't do that, like you said, we become the center of the story, and we are not the center of the story. They brought it to us. Also, we're emotional beings, and we like to be dramatic sometimes.
Yeah.
Right? And when we're telling other people about our stuff, we tend to be overly dramatic. And I think as a leader, when you're hearing someone else's story, be empathetic, yes, but realize too, there's probably a level of dramatics that they're bringing to that scenario that you don't necessarily need to get trapped in. As a leader, I think you need to be analytical and go, what is it that they're saying? Sometimes I just want you to listen.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry that's happening. If it's, can I pray for you? I'll be thinking about you. Please keep me updated on what's going on. But sometimes we need to be analytical and go, so what I'm hearing you say is these are the 2 or 3 things that are happening. What have you done about that? Like, have you considered, almost be a therapist, right? To a degree, and realize that it's not your burden to carry. It's, you are sharing that burden with them, yes, to a degree, but it's not yours to solve, resolve, or to carry. It's theirs. We have enough of our own as leaders. And we've got to get to a point sometimes where we are able to say, also, if there's a lot of dramatics coming your way, like, it's okay to put a boundary up. Like, oh, are you going to be here at the end of the day? Hey, what you need right now? Like, what do you need? Because I don't know. Oh, can I talk to you? I've just got a lot going on. I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm going to be heading out. If there's something you want to talk about right now, I'd be happy to talk to you. I've got about 3 minutes. I'd be happy to listen to you. And somebody that actually needs help will take that opportunity.
Absolutely.
But somebody that just wants to wah on you is, that's not going to be good enough for them. And eventually, if you make them fit inside a box they don't want to fit in, that's a healthy box for them to fit in, then they'll just stop kind of coming to you and whatever. I mean, we've had people make up for me. We've had people make up. They've had cancer multiple times before just to get attention.
Sure.
There's a lot to unpack underneath that, right?
Yeah.
But I'm invested. Ooh. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, what's going on? And then it was like time number 3. It was kind of like, bud, you sure? Are you sure? So people will do a number of different things to get attention. So you don't always have to say yes to every conversation that comes your way. It doesn't mean you're a bad leader or a bad person. It means that you are a person and you can't solve everybody's problems for them. So go back to that idea of what fills your cup up so you can overflow in everybody else's, and from the goodness of your overflow can help them in their situations and their particular circumstances.
That's good. I think really quick before we go, just on the topic of things that fill your cup up, if you are in a situation where you feel you are this emotionally emptied, like your cup is dry, you have nothing in there, what are some of the first resources you would recommend to, like, where can they start for 5 minutes a day?
This might not be what you're looking for.
Sure.
But from my personal experience, I had to cut off inflow.
Yeah.
I had to cut off inflow of information that wasn't mission critical. Again, remember, we're talking about business. We're talking about a company. And so I had to cut off getting every piece of raw customer feedback. I had to cut off reading every single employee review about our organization. I had to cut off having everybody be open to meet with me at any point in time that they felt the need to meet with me. And with each of those things, I didn't ignore it, but I put structures in place where people could synthesize things and give me the overall messages to go, we're really struggling in this area.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me dig into what those specific comments were. Or these people are wanting to talk about this specific thing. And let me really dig into that. But when it was all coming raw towards me as the leader, I was a terrible, terrible leader because I was going off of everybody else's emotions and needs instead of what the mission and the vision of the company should be. My clarity got clouded, if you will.
Absolutely.
So the first thing I would say is try to figure out what you need to limit in terms of inputs coming into you. So that's a boundary to create. But the second thing I would say is probably just go, realize you don't have to solve every problem. Like at work, if there's an issue, it feels like you need to solve it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that is the case because that's our job as a leader. But when it's interpersonal or when it's a personal problem that they bring to you, it's not your job to solve it. It's your job to listen sometimes, to give some advice, to pray for them, and then move on.
Yeah.
Because there's too many people that need you for you to spend all of your time on this one person or these few people. So those are the two things I would say to maybe do.
No, I think those are great.
First.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
exactly it. I just think as someone that's been in this situation, I don't really have the mental space to craft a whole personal development plan or things like that. I want to know what can I change starting tomorrow that's going to start helping me get back on the track I need to go on. And I think that's exactly what you did.
Well, and I think too, it's like we talk about whiteboarding as an example sometimes.
Always.
So and it's like, so if there's a person that's got an issue, you say, hey, tell you what, I've got some time on my calendar in a week and a half on Thursday at 2:00. Why don't you book it? Let's whiteboard this thing out for you. Let's see. And what you'll find is so often, most of the people won't do it because you're trying to offer them help. They don't want help. They just want, I'm sorry if this sounds cynical, listeners, but they just want to complain sometimes. And in you offering help, you're going to really help the few that will take that help, but you're going to eliminate the complainers that actually don't want help. They just want to feel justified in what they're thinking. And that's not always healthy.
That's good.
Yeah.
It all comes back to one or two things. It comes back to communication or a whiteboard session. I think that's the message of all of our podcasts. If you summed it up.
There you go.
Emotionally emptied. I really appreciate this. I think you can tell from just listening today, this is something that resonates not only with both of us, but I think almost every single leader out there has been in a similar situation at some point of just feeling drained, because to be a great leader, you have to be emotionally invested. And I think there's some great tidbits here that you can take away of not only what you can do today to start helping them feel better, but how you can set yourself healthier boundaries and more realistic, sustainable systems with your team in the future and expectations. If you or someone out there has something else you'd like to write us in about, you can visit our website, launchpointleader.com. We got a podcast page. You can watch all of our episodes there as well as write us in. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.